What's up, everybody? I'm back with another reaction video from Jesterbell. It's another crazy Starfleet Academy shenanigans. This one is titled Starfleet Academy Abuses Star Trek Fans with Theater Kids / Therapy Session. Oh, joy. Before we get into it, please definitely follow Jesterbell and her channel. She makes great content. She when it comes to comics and TV shows. She tends to hit the nail on the head on a lot of stuff. Definitely follow me on my channels, Twitch and YouTube, as I stream games, review content, and react to videos. I just did a review on the movies The Cherokee Kid and Midnight in Paris, as well as I finally did a comic book review that I've been trying to get done in a minute. The Flash, Fastest Man Alive comic by Danny Bilson. So those are up on the channel right now if you want to check out my in-depth analysis on all that. But without further ado, let's get to Jesterbell.
Wakey, wakey, Aractogino and Bakey. I'm Lieutenant Sylvia Tilly. Per the Chancellor, this class has been mandated for you, so you get me early.
May I ask what course this is?
Theater.
Lieutenant, what does theater have anything to do with?
8 out of 10 cadets ask that question. The other 2 become captains. What if I told you that theater is one of the most powerful tools for social and political change? Theater.
What the fuck? It's a military academy. A military academy. I know quite a few people who are in the military or have been in the military. Now, once they have, if you have basic knowledge of military, you would know full well their curriculum has never incorporated theater. There's a different plane, there's a whole nother career path that would require theater. This is like, it's like mixing plumber education with financial education, or at least like plumbing. It's like pulling some plumber type of education when you're trying to learn culinary. Those two do not mix. That's like a better example. You cannot go to a culinary school and then one of the classes is basically geared towards plumbing and say it's good for morale or whatever bull crap you can pull out your butt. What?
Is statecraft.
I hate therapy sessions.
Statecraft is theater.
All this this is what I'm talking about plenty of times. Society has been over therapized. Everything in every nook and cranny has to be some kind of therapy session. Therapy speak. This is tired. It's tired and overplayed. I think we need less of it. I need, just out of spite, I need to go out and just mess with people, just for the sake of it, just so they can have more trauma so they can, get over themselves. Oh my God.
So chew on that till you get it, and it changes your life.
Please.
Please. You know what this needs? It needs Biff from Back to the Future. It needs Nelson from The Simpsons. Just go around and just effing with people, making them cry. Just so they can like have some balance to all this crap.
Changed my life, Lieutenant.
Favorite. Homework. Find a play. I'll select one that suits our purposes. We will read it out loud, discuss, dissect. And for those of you still bristling with confusion and or resentment, I don't care.
As your next Cook County Commissioner, I plan on...
Oh God, I don't care. These stupid political ads. They didn't calm down. It's so annoying. It's like, what's with all this therapy crap? Usually you keep that kind of stuff to yourself, but they announce it like it's a brand.
I just hate myself. I hate that I ever decided to review this show, and no, the money is not worth it. I don't get paid nearly enough to watch this show, and I'm sick of it. And there's so many other stories that I could cover right now other than Starfleet Academy. So many other things to talk about than this show. I am just so tired of it that I've gone on for 8 weeks watching this abomination, and it's just not worth it anymore, and I don't even have any jokes. I apologize, this is not going to be a jokey episode. I am just sick to death of this awful show. Okay, let's get through this video really quick, and after this, I'm committed now. There's 2 more episodes in this entire season. I'm going to do episode 9 and episode 10, and then we're going to be done. I'm not going to do any other Starfleet Academy episodes in between that, and then it's just like, that's it. No more after.
She's better than me, because after the I do not want to use the word trauma, but after the fiasco that was the Acolyte, it's just like, anything that's even remotely close to something like the Acolyte, I've refused to even partake in it. My brain just cannot. So I still want to be in the loop about the downfall of this crap. These IPs, I will just through osmosis, through like Jesterbell or Neurotic or Snarky J or Disparu, like, just because I know they are like a lot more highly invested into this tragedy that is Starfleet Academy. But I just want to piggyback. I can't. I just can't. The Acolyte broke me to a point where it's like, anything that has like red flags similar to the Acolyte, I cannot on my own accord go through episode by episode with more idiocy after idiocy. I really might snap.
For that. Okay, as you got from perhaps the
just for these tidbits that I'm getting, it's like it like gets under my skin. So imagine I have to watch a full view of this stuff.
Title and the thumbnail and the opening of this video, Starfleet Academy keeps finding ways to up itself, up its game. Every episode, compared to the last, tries to be more cringeworthy and more of an attack on Star Trek fans than the last. And this latest episode takes the cake. And the pain that I endured watching this, I can't tell you. I had to take breaks during it. I had to try to focus on other things because I just could not handle it. But anyway, yes, this is the Theater Kid episode. Because guess what's happened? After the events of episode 6, the truly traumatic events where 2 people from a different college died. Oh my goodness, the horror. These people who are at a military college going into Starfleet, the horror that they endured when 2 people unexpectedly died after an attack they didn't expect. They are still dealing with their trauma from that 2 episodes later, and what we hear as months upon months later after this event. Wow, do you think that these people are going to be equipped to go out into space and face the Borg or anything like that? No, they are coddled and treated like little kids who are still not over this event where 2 people they barely knew died. Which I'm not trying to minimize people dying. What I'm saying is these people are supposed to be able to handle these situations, but they are ill-equipped. They can't. I don't remember when Tasha.
Military Academy. People are supposed to be prepared and trained for horrific events. more so than the average person. But this is not. They're treating this more so like a San Francisco college campus. This is not a Star Trek show. Even on the basic understanding of Star Trek, you know this ain't it. And you hear like I've seen like some people defending it, like, you know, with like seemingly genuine earnestness, and then of course tagging on like, you know, oh, you know, Star Trek was always, you know, woke, you bigot. I was like, no. Don't misconstrue what Gene Roddenberry in the Next Generation and the OG was something like this. These are worlds apart. Okay? Back then, they still understood the things between a man and a woman. They wouldn't have Klingons in dresses. They understood that Klingons are a warrior race. It's like playing up like the exaggeration of certain personalities and like just behavior traits. Like, you know, Klingons are pretty much like the Spartans. They're a warrior race. They will eat somebody like Jardan, whatever his freaking name is, and they would eat him up. He would probably have been dead before he was 10. They would not tolerate him at any point in the ethos, way before he even reached like a teenage age. It's like everything is always like about your feelings. It's very feminized. You know, none of the previous, you know, like go as far as back as like, you know, Voyager and DS9 and further back, they understood. Yeah, they had female officers too, but none of them behaved like Holly Hunter's character. I don't care how supposedly old she is and she gotten used to the, you know, way the sitting is. You're walking around barefoot half the time. What point in like the OG? I don't care how far in the future. What point in the OG Star Trek and the Next Generation would that have been any way suitable for an officer to behave? This is like it's like she belongs in like a yoga class or something where it's, you know, expected to her walking around barefoot and all casual. Ugh, God. It's like something like Hank Hill would make fun of. Like, he would have called them all jackasses.
Yar died in Next Generation that they spent episode upon episode of after that unable to do their jobs and in grief counseling, but that is what has happened in Starfleet Academy. The episode opens up where they are in a simulation of being on a starship and under attack, and they are completely incompetent, where Jaden is like, oh, what button do I press? What button do I press? And Tig Notaro is like, you guys need to be working.
Yeah, what he said was like something like, he was looking for the thrusters or something like that. And it's like, how long y'all been in this school so far? Some of y'all should be more than aware where certain things are placed on the deck. Even the most rudimentary knowledge by this point. Y'all walk around, you run around with your head like chickens with your heads cut off. It's like, what? How do y'all know like where things are? And y'all don't. It's supposed to be like teamwork, but no, it's a military academy. There's got to be a hierarchy. It's got to be a leader telling people where to go, what to do. There has to be a Picard or a Kirk on deck, and telling people where they need to do, what they need to do, where they need to go, maneuver it this way, maneuver it that way. There is a leader. But no, this format, these people behind the scenes, the writers, gotta make it all like, you see what happens when everything's so, so freaking feminized or very hand-holdy, kumbaya, yoga class crap. When something goes down, there's nobody listen to somebody who's supposed to be the superior. There's no coordination at all. Yeah, sure, maybe you try to teach them teamwork, but even in the basic teamwork, there's got to be somebody you have to listen to. Like, look at something like Naruto. Like, I reviewed like the OG Naruto before I started to get into the Shippington era. But one of my favorite moments in OG Naruto is when they became Team 7. And Kakashi is trying to teach them teamwork. And even amongst teamwork, they had to listen to somebody. Somebody still had to call the shots in order to coordinate the team effort. You look at something like football or just any, sports. There's somebody has to be the quarterback. Somebody has to be the captain. Football, baseball, basketball. Sure, they're a team, but it's still somebody calling the shots. So telling people where to maneuver in order to work in a cohesive way. This is what happens when you don't have any type of leader, hierarchy. Everybody's running around scrambling. It's dumb.
Working together. These people show again and again how incompetent they will be in a space. But anyway, going forward into the episode, and the character of Sam is just so insufferable. She's going to be a big focus here. She apparently what happens is Tiramisu, that character whose big like trauma is she revealed her canary cry to everyone when she saved everyone, and I truly do not understand what was supposed to be so traumatic about that. She did her canary cry, and that upset her, and she was in the hospital for a little bit, and now she's back. She's actually going to be at Starfleet Academy now. And Caleb wants to reconnect with her, but even though they reconciled at the end of episode 6, they're pretending as if she's really, really upset with him. But yeah, she's going to be moving in with Genesis, the girl that Caleb was attracted to in the last episode, and Sam. So Sam tries to move the things out of their dorm or whatever it is, and she informs Genesis that she has flushed her toothbrush down the toilet by accident. That's how this episode begins. But anyway, so the setup of this episode is all these...
Remember, it makes me want to rewatch those AI parody videos again. I gotta get back into my safe space. I can't wait to F you guys in my safe space.
Characters are dealing with the trauma of episode 6 still, and they're unable to do work. So what is the solution to all of this? Well, Nala, Holly Hunter, the feet lady, gets a substitute guest teacher to come in, named Sylvia Tilly, which sounds like a kindergarten teacher, and that's exactly how she acts. I know that I have said that all of the adults...
She looks like the daughter of Miss Umbridge. I mean, she looked like she could be the daughter of Miss Umbridge from Harry Potter. That's what she looked like to me.
On this show act like kindergarten teachers. That has never been more true than for this character, as you saw from the first clip. She talks to all of these traumatized adult students as if they are 5 years old, and she is so condescending in the way that she speaks to them. Apparently, she's going to be using theater to teach them how to deal with their trauma. Theater. Yes, this is a Theater Kid episode because, as we've been saying, the writers can only write what they know. And who are these writers? Theater kids from rich LA families who've probably been to grief counseling and therapy. Yes, because we had to check, we've checked out all the boxes. They've been out drinking. They haven't been really engaging in their studies. I guess they did do a debate class episode. They've been engaged in activism. It was only a matter of time. We needed to get to therapy and theater courses because that is all the people behind the scenes know. They can only write about their own experiences doing drama class and whatnot, but given the way some characters act on this show, I would say that drama class might be necessary for them. But once again, this lady with red hair, Sylvia Tilly, is so...
This show makes that final season of Stranger Things and Game of Thrones and the final season of How I Met Your Mother look like, the Penguin show. By comparison.
So condescending. And this is where she becomes a self-insert for the writers, because all of the characters, rightly so, are questioning, what does theater have to do with Starfleet Academy and going out into space and all of that? And her response is to be as condescending as possible in saying that, 8 students usually ask me that every time, and 2 out of 8 students ask me that, and they don't become captains, something like that. But she says that the importance of theater is that it can be the most powerful source in terms of political and social change. Of course, she's the writer's self-insert, and that is how they see stories. Stories are about political...
And that's how they think they can solve the real world problems through theater and like therapy speak and all that, LA crap. I was like, you don't know. It's like Ricky Gervais said, you know nothing about the real world. You know nothing.
Change to them. That is what Starfleet Academy has been all about, with its epithets of empathy and refugee camps and every single character being gay. Of course, that is all they see stories as, is sermons that they can preach from these writers who have never written anything successful in their lives but still get work. So it's just the mask off moment where they are literally treating the Starfleet cadets as Star Trek fans and the teachers as the writers of the show. You don't like it? Well, you need to know that theater is a movement for social and political change. And then she goes, you don't like it? Well, then I don't care, which is exactly what the writers are saying to the audience. They know that they're going to be groaning about the premise of this episode, and they just want you to know that if you're upset about them ruining your Star Trek, they don't care.
When somebody contacts our law firm after hours or even during business hours, we wanted to send them a text message.
Oh my goodness. I can't emphasize how much I just wanted to punch the face of every character in this episode. And that's just the cold open. We're only through the cold open. I swear. I'll try my best. I'll try my best not to overspeak. I can't even speak anymore. Talk too much about this episode. But anyway, the only character who is enthusiastic about this theater therapy class is Sam. And because of that, she is the teacher's favorite. So, okay, let's give the rundown about what is happening here. So, Tiramisu is being an absolute word I will not say. She is being something bad. Tiramisu is the character who's, once again, the love interest of Caleb. And she is acting horribly to everyone in this episode, where she keeps projecting her own insecurities onto everyone. I don't understand what her trauma is. She used her canary cry to save everyone, and she's so upset about that. She's at Starfleet Academy, and they're all staring at her because she's the girl who did that and is now back here. But she never really gets mistreated. She just has people staring at her because of what happened. But throughout the entire episode, she is projecting her own insecurities onto everyone who would help her. For example, Caleb keeps trying to talk to her, and she gives him the cold shoulder. Later, she gets super, super drunk and starts to reconnect with him, and they start to talk. And she tries to hook up with him again. He doesn't want to while she's that drunk. So she goes, oh, you don't want to touch me because I'm a monster? That's what this is? Or you want to hang out with that girl Genesis?
Yeah, I've seen that scene. And him saying like, no, you're too drunk. Now, on paper, yes, that is the right thing to do. Shouldn't take advantage of a drunk, inebriated woman, because she's not in the right state of mind to consent. Sure. Realistically, though, especially if they've been together before already, that guy will probably still nail the heck out of that girl. Realistically, especially a young 20-something testosterone-filled boy. Yeah. Furniture will be moving. Okay? Just saying. Yeah, on paper, don't do it. The guy should not do it. But, in a realistic sense, more often than not, what will go down? All that is just like, it's very theater. Because, it's like, we shouldn't do this. Me too. It's like, okay, sure. That's how it will go down, realistically. Not saying it's okay. I'm just saying, it's like, if you willing to put a bet on it, how it will really go down, odds are through proven history, not including actual crimes, just on normal circumstances, how it will actually go down for real.
So
It's
throughout the
Alexis.
entire
It's like,
episode
don't do
is this
this to
character
a drunk
Tiramisu
lady.
blowing
Yeah,
up
okay,
at
got the
other
memo.
people for her own insecurities and projecting that they're thinking things that she's thinking about herself. Like, oh, people don't even want to look at me. Well, they were looking at you. There's multiple people during this episode that want to reach out to her and help her out, but she just keeps blowing up at everyone and projecting that everyone else sees her as a monster and that this awful thing has happened, when in reality all that happened is she has a canary cry that she used. That is it. But that is part of what makes this episode so insufferable, is it's not just the theater kid episode where we get the Klingon taking a bow. They give him a cold in this episode to write him out of the show for a little bit, and it's like, colds were literally cured in the future. That's what they said in Next Generation. Never mind that. But yeah, the entire episode is characters whining because this theater class is used to really just be a grief trauma therapy session where...
I don't think about it. If, I'm not even talking about Starfleet Academy, but on the subject of colds being cured in the future, that means nobody has an excuse to call for work sick. That wouldn't be ever a thing once that technology had came out. So anybody who didn't want to just show up at work, well, it'd be their excuse.
It's trying to get the play to get the characters to admit what is ailing them, essentially. Once again, the writers are doing what they know, and what they know is theater class and trauma therapy sessions. So anyway, that is what made this episode so insufferable to me, is its characters, whining and screaming about something that they should not be this upset about at this point. The characters do not need to be in trauma therapy for months on end at two people they didn't know dying during an exercise that got attacked, when they're supposed to be in Starfleet Academy. If these characters are this fragile, then they need to be out of Starfleet Academy because they are not cut out for this job and the awful things that are actually going to happen. But yeah, the moments on moments.
Yeah. You thought that was tragic. Yeah. You remember that time when Picard got assimilated into the Borg that time? That was a tragic moment. When Spock died, that was tragic. The little thing that they went through, that's a day at the beach at a normal situation at on an actual mission on a starship. It'd be like that meme with like James Franco, first time.
Upon moments of characters screaming their therapy. And guys, before I would have said that Sam was the worst, most annoying character in this show. And my goodness, does she get some terrible moments in this? Because this actress, once again, going to drama class, one of the things that they teach you, one of the first things to teach you in drama class is how to speak clearly. In real life, we talk really fast, we slur our words. You have to speak a bit slower and clearer than normal when you're doing a play or a show or a movie so that people can understand you. The actress who plays Sam slurs all of her words, so I couldn't understand what she was saying.
Sam, slow down, Pulse. I'm not even up yet, and I just can't with their midday energy before I even put my underwear out my butt.
Tell me, please, what is she saying in this scene?
I'm not even up yet, and I just can't with their midday energy before I even put my underwear out my butt.
I can turn your wildest ideas into a song. Just describe it in a few words, choose a style, and let Mareka the
I pull underwear out of my butt.
No different from
That's what I
Hunter
got.
Not even up yet, and I just can't with their midday energy before I even put my underwear out my butt.
Anyway, once upon a time I thought that Sam was the worst character on the show, but I believe I was wrong. I think the worst character on this show is Tiramisu. After the whining and entitlement that I heard from her throughout this episode, Caleb wants to reach out to her because I thought that they had reconciled. She gives him the silent treatment and starts projecting her own insecurities about what he must think of her because of how she feels over this situation where she used her canary cry. And then she gets drunk and he still wants to be there for her, but the second...
It's like first time... This image kind of like first time a girl tried anal with a BBC. And caught her by surprise. That's the face of that.
He doesn't want to hook up again. She throws a hissy fit and starts projecting all of this stuff onto him. And she throws a fit at the teacher as well. So much of this episode is just her throwing fits over something it's her own insecurity. And she has no reason to be this upset. And just going through all of this like grief counseling therapy session throughout this episode, and the writers trying to give like their thoughts on everything. Like the ending line of this episode is something like, everything matters but nothing matters. It's like the writers don't have anything to say about anything of this. I'm sure they've been to therapy sessions themselves, but they have no personal insight to any of this, other than I guess it's the same old, go to theater class and learn
Yeah, it's funny how so many people go to therapy just to learn just new words. They don't really take to heart to anything, honestly. It's like going to therapy because it's fashionable and for the most little innocuous things possible. I'm not sure why there's not more. Well, obviously, more people like who actually went to college and got the masters for psychology and all this other stuff. Obviously, gain more money to have more people keep coming back and gaining more money. But there's so little of therapists out there who actually understand that, like Dr. Orion Taraban, who I actually believe is like a true blue therapist, who said out of his own mouth that his goal is making sure that he doesn't have to have repeat I don't want to say customers, but clients. He doesn't want to have complete clients if he can help it. His goal is making sure that they have the right tools necessary needed so they can be productive members of society outside of maybe extreme cases. Only thing therapy has been doing, as he puts it in the past several years at this point, is just giving people new words like narcissists that they use on their everyday lives without understanding the true meaning behind it. It's overplayed, and it just becomes like a detriment to the profession and a detriment to society. Look at it through here, where all these people who went to therapy but don't understand anything beyond just fresh new words, with the surface level understanding behind them, and just regurgitate that in these shows and films because it's fashionable. Because look what I've learned. Look what I've learned in my therapy session. This could work for everybody. And that is another problem he points out, that you try to apply, because he puts it, it's been so feminized too, that you put a blanket thing that tends to work in general with female clients, and trying to apply it with children, men, and it does not work. But everything is feminized. And that's why you can't help but roll your eyes at half of this crap.
To talk it out, I guess. Anyway, the other plot that is running alongside this episode is Sam, the character, gets hurt. Oh, I know you're so upset. The character of Sam might die, and she is out of commission and off somewhere else, being fixed. And it's supposed to be this really sad thing. Don't you just really care about this character in Sam who's about to die? Actually, I don't, because the actress who plays her slurs her words, so I can't even understand her, and the character has been insufferable. Once again, the entire episode, while it seems like it's going to be a silly, quirky theater kid episode, and they do drama class in it, it's really just a hug it out session from the writers. But I didn't find that it gave me any insight or on grief or any of these things. And the setup of it did not even make sense. Why are they grieving on this level over an event that should be something that
some people like to pray before they leave something, like a event or something like that, because they're probably religious or something. I bet you the writers behind this has hug it out sessions before they leave, or somebody to have a minor disagreement, but it's like, I hear you, let's have a hug it out session, and they hug, and it's so nauseating. I bet you they do that, and they applied it to the episode. These people are so fragile that a gentle breeze will knock them over. They can't. God, it's like they live so much in like a bubble. Like once they step out of there into something like the Midwest or the South, they freak out about how people just normally engage. That like you see something like in a barbershop anywhere in the world, it's like people guys tend to like, play the dozens, talking crap, and they all clutch their pearls. Oh my God, how dare you? You're so bigoted. I can't believe. And it's like, they can't handle just real world communication dynamics, especially healthy male dynamics. Their brains fry because they're so used to this kumbaya lifestyle bubble, the blue bubble. Oh my God, it's so dumb.
Starfleet cadets could handle, because guess what? Suck it up. You're going into Starfleet. You're going into the military of the future. People.
And I think we slept on the concept of sucking it up. I think people go into these larger platforms and tell people to just suck it up. Suck it up. Walk it off. Not everything needs a therapy session. Not everything is trauma bonding. Suck it up. Move on with your life. You'll be okay. It will pass. But no, not everything got to be unpacked. Golly.
People are gonna die frequently. Guess what? You should not be in hug it out sessions 6 months after the fact, after that had happened. This show infantilizes the characters so much because these are all self-inserts of the writers, where this is how they live their lives. I was just listening to an interview with a guy the other day who was a producer in Hollywood for years, and he was talking about the sensation and what he thinks is really one of the big things at the core of so much bad writing is that Hollywood, more than ever, it's insulated with a lot of nepotism, where it's a lot of rich families who have made success for themselves already, who get their kids who grew up rich into production in Hollywood. So all of these stories that we get from Hollywood are from rich people who got their rich kids jobs as writers and whatnot. And I had that in my head throughout watching this episode. I know that there is an obsession with therapy these days, and I have a lot of thoughts on it, because my thoughts are like, everyone's going to therapy these days, or everyone likes the idea of going to therapy, but a lot of people are not getting better. I have a lot of thoughts about therapy in the modern day, of how much are people actually being helped with therapists, and how many therapists out there are.
It's like too much. It's the concept of too much of a good thing. Therapy, in retrospect, is a good thing, but it, in my opinion, need to be used for like emergency kind of situations, like something serious, like a small kid seeing his like parents die, or you went through a military battle, you got PTSD, or you're some kind of psychopath, or maybe you have like some actual issues within your marriage and you tried everything imaginable you can think of and this was like the last resort. That's what therapy, in my opinion, needs to be regulated to be utilized for. Okay, not for every single thing. Not because, oh my God, I smell a muffin, it made me cry because I thought about my grandfather. He made muffins. It's like, you don't need to go to therapy for that. Oh, I stubbed my toe. Oh my God! It reminds me of my mom who stepped on my toe when I was 10, and it made me feel some type of way. It's like, I need therapy. It's like, no, stop. We need to collectively just say no more therapy. Okay, stop it. Okay, get hurt more. Matter of fact, you need the opposite of therapy. You need to get hurt more people, not literally. I mean, it's, figuratively. Like bullying, like the old school 80s, 90s type of bullies. We need a Regina George and a Biff from Back to the Future. More people like that out there to poke at these people. Sorry, hit my mic. To poke at these people just a little bit, just to build up some freaking immunity because they're prepping for the real world. Because the real world is not going to be nice to them. It's not going to be hugging out sessions, especially when things get dire. You have to handle these things. What is wrong with you people?
Actually good therapists who are being helpful more than people aren't actually dealing with the problems by themselves that they need to. How much is therapy and the idea of therapy actually being used as a crutch for people to essentially self-coddle themselves rather than actually dealing with their own trauma? Because
why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine? Why are you not getting powerful erections even after taking an ED medicine?
expand on that. I've just seen it in real life that I wonder, how many people out there are actually seeing good therapists that want them to get better versus it's just like a self-coddling thing. But that is what I just kept thinking about this episode is that, yeah, the writers are writing what they know. They have been coddled their entire lives. They have had their hand held through every terrible situation. They have never had anyone tell them to just suck it up and deal with it. These are likely people from relatively well-off families where what they know is, going to school with teachers who will coddle them and, treat them as younger than they are. They go into therapy whenever, the slightest, the bad thing happens. Go into therapy whenever...
Or even worse, treat them like they're best friends. Like certain parents, like I knew, or not knew, but like heard, from the grapevine, that it was like a thing where you gotta treat your child like he's your best friend, and like it's like no, they're a child, and because they had parents treating them like they're their best friends and not like their freaking parents, they grow up with a warped perception of the world. And now everything is upsetting them because they wasn't properly prepared for that when they was children. So now this is what you shouldn't say, oh, it's not going to hurt you. What's the big deal? That's their business. It is going to hurt them like almost anything because they're not the only person living on this planet, let alone this country. So when they grow up, go out into the real world, the rest of us has to deal with it. Because the parents didn't do their freaking job. So now we gotta deal with it. And now, because nobody's obligated to, play nice with them. So that's why, like, a lot of them gotta go to therapy and get coddled, like she says, because, the world isn't what they thought it was gonna be. They need to be. Most of these people need to be left out in the wilderness and let Darwinism take its course. Anybody left alive, or to survive and come back to civilization, they have probably, hopefully, a better understanding how things actually are. And leave behind that weird notion that everything's a hug it out moment. Hug it out with the wolves, the ravenous wolves out there. See, that fixes anything for you.
They need it because their parents could readily pay for therapists and things like that. I'm sorry, I'm just getting so upset with this kind of stuff. And everything in this show has been all that the writers know, whether that's high school, the way it was in high school with debate class and going to college and just spending all your time drinking with your friends and going to drama class and going to grief therapy sessions. That's all the writers know, and that's all they write. And this activism from these people who just have never had any life experience. The people who make this show have never actually had anything bad happen to them. And that is what's reflected on the show, where a situation that Starfleet cadets should be prepared for and should have been made to get over quickly, because that is what is going to happen when you're what is essentially futuristic military. Instead, they're coddled as if they're kindergartners and given kindergarten teachers to help them through it and hug it out and talk through their therapy in drama class. That is all these writers know. So that is all they can put into the show, and they don't have any insight to any actual terrible situation in real life and how to get through it. And that's how we get brain dead shows like this, where the original writers of Star Trek had lived through World War II. Something that kids in the modern day could never even imagine what it was like to go through. And they were not making episodes about grief therapy sessions and theater class and kindergarten teachers teaching military cadets. That is ridiculous. The original writers would say, they would put political messaging in their shows, but they actually had thought behind it. They actually had something to say about the world. They actually could make something entertaining simultaneously, unlike these rich theater kids who've been just handed everything and have nothing to say about, they have no problems of their own, so they can't write characters with real problems, because this girl Tiramisu, with all her whining and crying throughout this episode, does not actually have a real problem. That was the problem. Her big issue is she has a canary cry and she thinks everyone else is going to hate her for it. That is not a real problem. Everyone else has better things to do than worry about this girl. All these cadets should have been over this situation that happened at this point. But no, we have to do an entire episode dedicated to long speeches and crying and hugging it out when one bad thing happened. Oh no, a character broke a nail next. What are we gonna do? We need months upon months of grief therapy counseling in order to get through it. I hate this show with every fiber of my being. I wanted to strangle every self-insert character on the show, every self-insert about the writer crying about their own insecurity, and every bit of validation, which is basically just more self-validation. Self-validation. You know, Tiramisu gets told by Genesis in this episode when she's crying about how she's not at the war college anymore and she misses her friends, and Genesis is just like, maybe you're just on your journey to be your next self. It's all self. It's all narcissism. It's all about me. Self-validation, emotional validation. I'm crying. I'm upset because things aren't 1000% perfect for me. So I need...
This is why films from the East are kicking Western films' ass. Because they have not forgotten how to write characters and arcs, story structure. They have not forgotten because they are infected with this woke crap.
Need somebody to tell me about...
Yeah, they, Japan and China, I'm pretty sure it has, obviously therapists too. But they don't they actually do their job. They don't try to just recycle these people. The only thing they learn is new words that they can regurgitate to the public with no understanding and, education behind it. It's a nausea.
How I'm just going on my journey to be on my next self. I need my theater, kindergarten, drama therapy teacher to tell me about how I'm just on my way to being my best self, and I need her to coddle me and help me through this situation that when the girl in this show, Tiramisu, is the one who needs to be in control of her own emotions. She doesn't need a drama class teacher. She doesn't need to be coddled. She doesn't need therapy. She needs to be told, suck it up. This happens in life. You have to deal with your own emotions. You have to deal with your own insecurities and move insecurities.
I hate to repeat this, but going back to Naruto, the teachers there, after the kids have to experience death, when Zabuza, seemingly died, Kakashi has to express to these kids who actually had to witness a murder for the first time, had to explain to them, this is the life. It's not too dissimilar to being at Starfleet traditionally. You'll be dealing with this one point or another. You have to face it now, get used to it, because at some point you'll be faced with life and death situations. It's not maybe the first choice you want to make, but it will have to be a choice. You have to be prepared to take a life. And of course, they're dealing with war, and this is a military academy, mind you. At least Naruto was dealing with war, and this is Starfleet is a military academy, but the sentiment is the same. Not necessarily they go out looking for trouble, but when trouble walks on their doorstep, they need to be prepared to do something that they would probably rather not do, but face it head on, like adults, like warriors. They are essentially warriors. They would not survive something like Sparta or medieval Japan. They wouldn't survive Rome. These little cuddled ass kids.
And move on. And I know that the people writing the show don't understand anything about that because they've been coddled their entire lives and told, the big axioms about how you, emotional validation, you just need to be on your journey to be your best self. And this is what happens when you get shows written by World War II veterans who actually had to experience their friends dying around them. They actually had to experience what it's like to not know if you're going to live the next day versus rich, entitled theater kids who have been emotionally validated and given everything their entire lives. That is all I've got to say today about this ridiculous trash Star Trek show. I wish I had never watched a minute of it, and I've got 2 episodes left. Thank you all for watching. Please support this channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we are almost to 100,000 subscribers. Please become a member or a patron if you hadn't already, and I will see you guys next time.
Yep. Fully agree. This is like, it's like good writing when you see it or experienced it. I mean, I don't even have to revisit and a Japanese or Korean or whatever material. We used to have smart writing in Western material. And that's before the woke brigade, reared its ugly head around 2017, 2018. Ugh, God, wait, it's like therapy sessions after therapy sessions. It's just a lot more people need to get hurt a little bit more just to toughen themselves up, because this is getting ridiculous. I think Starfleet Academy is I thought it reached its peak with the crazy wokeness with Acolyte, but no, it's Starfleet Academy that's took it to a whole different level, and it should teach not only real Star Trek fans but the general public, this is not how you make a TV show, let alone a Star Trek show. This is not how you break down characters, make them complex, dealing with complex issues. Now everything needs to be hug it out sessions, or drama classes. It's so dumb. Anyway, I will see you guys in a little bit with another reaction video that I got queued up. So let me know what you guys think. Have you guys reached a point where Starfleet Academy has darn near broken you? Because I'm curious, because this is bad, man. This is really, really bad. And everybody behind the scenes, or at least maybe not behind the scenes because they're crazy leftists, but the studio should feel ashamed for greenlighting this crap. All because they're afraid of what the Twitter mob might say, the minute people that actually seen this show, and half of them probably did not, but they like the idea because they want to feel seen, regardless of actually watching it. Golly. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Follow me in the links in the description below, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.